Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have not one but two deck lists for launch for the new Zenkai format. I think launch is probably one of the most anticipated leaders to get a buff with the introduction of the new Z mechanics, Z energy, and everything else that kind of goes with it, just because inherently it's a leader that wants to combo a lot anyways, and which means you just get to build a lot of Z energy without having to lose any advantage, which is kind of cool. So before we start this video though, I do want to say if you guys are needing any products, I know the release of BT18 is technically today. Please consider hitting my TCG player link in the description. If you use that link and then buy some cards with it, I do get a bit of a kickback. I really do appreciate any contributions there. If there's an excuse you need to get a couple more cards, please make this the sign for you. But anything does help me out, and it does help fund the giveaways I do on my live streams as well. But enough of that, we'll go into the deck itself. So the launch leader is probably one of the most unique leaders in this game. It just has this auto once per turn when you combo draw one, and also when a card in your life is flipped face up by one of your red card skills, you may flip this card over. If you do draw one, and you can't flip your leader card to its front side for the turn, and then it's just a 5k base as well. And then on the other side, when this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, gets minus 5k power for the battle. It's a 10k auto once per turn when you combo draw one card, and then the same auto to flip over to the other side when a card is flipped face up in your life. So it just means that you get to do a lot of flipping on both sides of your leader very quickly. Obviously it's a leader with not a lot of inherent power to it, but it does get a lot of big buffs because of just the amount of draw you get inherently from this too. So we do have pretty much three we maxed out on these. These are all essentially the same thing. They all have the auto that if your leader card is a red earthling only card with 10k power or less, when this card is used in a combo, flip up to one card in your life face up at the end of your turn, flip all face up cards in your life face down. You can't activate the auto skills of copy this card for the turn. You can do this for all three because they are all the same one. The best one is definitely this launch, the Pure Hearted though. Activate battle if your leader card is a red earthling only card with 5k power. Combo with this card from your drop area at the end of battle, send this card from your drop area to your warp. It just means that if you are on only this side of launch, then you can use this as a free combo, and if you do, then you're able to get that flip to the front side because it does flip a card. You get some extra draw, and this is like a free combo too, and this is like one of the cards that gets the most amount of advantage from the new Zenkai mechanics, because you can combo this card from your drop area and it would be sent to your warp, but you can send it to your Z energy instead, and then after that you're able to use it for like a Z battle card, and then you can get it back into your drop area, and then you get to recycle it again. So it's very, very good. You do have to remember it's only for this side of launch that you do get the combo from drop area for free, but just means that with this card in your drop area, your leader on your backside just becomes a 10k for free, which is pretty good in a leader like this. So we do also have the Feminine Wiles and also the Walma. Both these are fine. They're just more versions of flipping cards. The Feminine Wiles too, I learned this on stream the other day. If your leader card is a red earthling only card, we combo choose one of your opponent's battle cards you're using card, gets minus 5k power. This is only if this is face up on the board, so you can't just combo with it and get it like I thought. So do mention that, but having these amount, that should be enough to get your flips in action. Remember though, use your launch at the correct timing as well. You can also use stuff like the Rush Attack Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta to combo with this in your drop area, but you don't get to get the effects from it because it's negated. So you have to make sure that you have enough things to flip you back over to your other side so you can use these for free. So make sure to kind of use those correctly. But this Vegeta is like one of the best reasons to run. This is such a good card in the deck, and we'll go over it a little bit more in a little bit. So these are the main things. We want to make sure we have these guys in here as well, and it's very strong. And we're going with the red-blue version, and I think this has kind of been a deck that's been existing for a really long time. Just the fact that launch is able to get a lot of card draw, which means that you can use some greedy things such as Sensu Bean as well as the Beerus. You're not really caring that you're not getting card draw with these. The energy you get back from it is worth a lot more to you, and you get a lot of advantage from that too. So it's very, very strong. And just being able to consistently say, you know what, I can tap out because I know I'm going to find a Beerus if I don't already have one. That's very good. Like your launch draws essentially 3 cards every turn. One on one side from the combo, then you awaken and then you combo a second card, you get another draw. So that's 3 draws inherently, and that's very, very good for your cycle and stuff. We are running Vegeta from there. Honestly, like a lot of this too is you just need to have a lot of good cards that are red that can be comboed just so you can get a lot of the free advantage from it too. So I would say they like first turn you always charge a red blue, and then you from there you can get some mecha freezes pretty consistently in your charging in there. Vegeta Resolve Renewed is okay. I think it's a little bit slow for where we're at, but it is a strong card nonetheless, so I think it's worth being played, especially because worst case you just combo with it. We are playing some Unisons too, so I chose Baby Unison for this one, and it was good whenever you're able to, like, if you put it on the board, it gets a lot of value and it's very strong. But I don't know if the way that this build is I don't know if the best build of launch does run Unison. So we do have the second build that we're going to talk about in a second that has no Unisons in it. But if you are going to use red Unisons, I think Baby is the best one, especially because it does get this plus 1k power if all your cards are tapped out, which just means that your 10k leader becomes an 11k leader, which means that they have to be at 50. Like, it just makes like launch a regular statted leader more or less on the defense side, which really helps if you're tapped out. And just kind of go from there. Topo, even though it's an old card, it is still a very good card, and some decks still get stopped by this, which is cool. Son Goku Divine Presence is just an inherently okay card for 2 if you have the way to play it. It's worth it. And then there's also Videl, Encountering Danger. Such a good counterplay. So you do need to have the Baby Unison set up for it, but being able to get this is great. So many cards have Deflect right now, and this gets around Deflect because it just gives it the minus 20k power. So it's very good. It pops a lot of cards that won't be popped right now because of Deflect. It doesn't get around Barrier, unfortunately, but we do have our Cooler who does do that, so that is quite nice. And obviously two of these coolers, if you're able to time them at the correct time, can pop 2 things that are 20k or less with Barrier, and that can kind of win you the game sometimes if your opponent's not expecting them. So we're running the Hercule and Majin Buu just because there's not that many better red blue cards to being, use a rival, but like being able to do this and you get to draw a card and get something minus 10k and then recycle something back to your hand, such as like a Videl that you used early in the turn, if it survives, I think is okay. Or even a Topo, if they decide to try to swing through it, you can get another Topo to your hand. Violent Rays is great at 2. I think there's a couple decks that just won't be able, like, this will just end their turn, which is really funny to see, and it's very strong from there. And Dirty Burst as well, being able to run a deck that consistently run Dirty Burst, I think is fantastic. So depending on what you're playing against, I think this is a really, really good card just to have sitting in your hand. And if they, like, for example, inherently it's going to be the like Gogeta, right? Like, that is such a strong deck right now. But if you're able to Dirty Burst before they start their turn, you're able to get a lot of value from it, and you get to draw a card, and then they can't do anything with it. So I think this is just a strong card in the meta outright, and it does negate, like, it does like floodgate a lot of things that can't be floodgated otherwise. And it's not too bad for us to leave 2 blue energy open after like turn 3. And even if we, especially with Senzu Bean, so like something that I like to do on like turn 3 is that you can play a Rush Attack Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, swing with it a couple times, and on the first swing you give it Senzu Bean, so it will be a 25k attack, and then if you're able to get the Activate main, it will be a with 25 because you get the 5k combo. Then it will be an extra 10k, so it'll be a 35 double strike barrier deflect on the second swing, and that's very, very strong. So going through the Z deck though, again, this is just the MVP. It's such a good card. We're very easily getting this out on like turn 2 if we want to, and it's not very difficult for us to combo enough times that we will get up to our 4 Z energy after the start swing, so we're able to use the effects to restand it and get double strike barrier. So just a lot of pressure for something that we don't even have to use cards in our hand to play with, which is kind of like the strength of these Z cards. We're running one of these Videls because sometimes we just need to. It's just 1 cheaper. It does put some pressure on, and we're gonna have red Earthlings in our Z energy very easily because of the three ladies right here. So, but when this card attacks, choose up 20 opponent's back cards with 15k power, less KO, and this gains plus 10k power for the turn. So like, sometimes this just is the right play, and it makes sense to. Sometimes Vegeta is too expensive, so you play Videl and you're good to go. Same thing with Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku Defender of Life. Sometimes this is just better, especially if they have something that can get, like, you're afraid of that will hit the barrier. For example, in the mirror match, if you think this Videl is going to come down and pop it, this is such a good card for that. Especially if they're just chilling at 4 life, you can just use this to get them down to 3 life because it does pop them if they have 4 or more, and then it's just a 20k double strike with Deflect Barrier, and there's not a lot to complain about that. We do have the Super Saiyan Son Goku Awakened Onslaught, just a one of, but this is just nice as, again, like, if you only have like 1 energy open to do something with, make it this guy, swing in, and then you can remove something with energy cost 5 or less at the end of the turn by placing a Z energy to the drop area. So That's fine. We can't use the activate main because we're not a mono bleed leader, but it's fine for what it is. And then also the Cell Awakening of the Created. This is just a really nice tech pick. If your opponent's not expecting this card to be in your deck, you just play it, and then you just have a 25k crit that clears the board. And then if you are able to clear the board really well, it's a triple strike crit, which is kind of cool, and you get to swing twice with it. So I think it's fine. It's a cool card. I think it's worth being played at one of, especially since it's not too difficult for us to get 3 blue energy. It just means that like turn 1 we charge like a Hercule, Majin Buu, or a Cooler. Turn 2 we find is like it's not very difficult to find Mecha Freezes in this list because we're going to be running so many of them, and it's very strong there. So I like this list. I think it's more of a kind of, I don't know, like mid-range. And also the secret rare for this is the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, strictly because getting to turn 4 is not too difficult for it, and honestly getting Sparking 25 for this deck is not too big of a task. We're going to be comboing so many cards that getting this Sparking is not a tough decision for us to get to. And sometimes we can get a this dual attack Sparking, deflect, triple striker, and then just kind of end the game with it. So I think he's very strong for that purpose, and it's not too hard to get the Sparking 25. Worst case, we just play it and then we crit them a life and blow up their board, and that's still also very, very good. So and then going to the non-Unison version of it. And so one thing that and this is when I posted the list originally on Facebook, I did get some comments from some people, including Eric and Richard Zapp. So thanks for your contributions there. They just said like the Unison is cool, but it's not like, there's just a better version of the deck that doesn't run it. Sometimes it's too cloggy. And after playtesting this a little bit, I could understand that, and I saw that sometimes I just did not want to spend this, but I kind of felt like I had to because it was dead in hand otherwise. So without Unisons, I would make the deck look a little bit more like this. So Broly, Crown of Retribution, I think definitely belong in the original build, but this is such a strong card right now, especially since a lot of blue decks are feeling very greedy and getting a lot of free untaps. So just being able to play this for 1 is very mean in a lot of ways, and you're able to get that off. We do also have the Hercule, not this, this guy, the SS3 Goku. This is just we're just a thinner deck in a lot of ways, and part of the reason for it is that you just want so many. I also just found so many times that I had to actually decide what I needed to combo with, and so many cards were just like a 10k or something that you do need quite a bit of these 5k combos just to be able to get some advantage from your leader and stuff. So I ended up putting in a couple more of those. I did put in testing the opposition because one time Marcus was just like, well, I can just swing in with my Quad Strike Secret Rare for free and win the game, and that's exactly what he did. So I think testing the op is fine in this deck. 1 or 2 if, 2 or 3 if you care for it. If I don't think it's needed, but it's not the worst card to put in a deck like this, especially because sometimes you do just tap out. So you need that advantage for it, but and that's really just it. Broly, I don't know, this card's good. If you're running red and you don't have at least 1 or 2 of these in the sideboard or the main deck, you should definitely consider it. There's no harm for running it. It is very, very good. But I don't know, I like this list. I think launch is in a strong spot right now, mostly because this Vegeta is so good. It is such a good card that you are going to be in a good spot to be able to play it and get some advantage from it in a lot of ways. So I highly recommend checking it out. And I don't know, launch is cool. There's a lot that you have to make sure that you sequence right, and a lot of it depends on what kind of lead. Like this card is really tricky to play correctly because you can't do it on this side, you can only do it on this side, and you have to make sure it goes into your Z energy so you can refresh it. And that kind of stuff. There's a lot of sequencing things, but in general, I like this build a lot. I like the deck a lot, and I think it's going to be doing well in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want me to do another deck, let me know. Make some comments in the below area there, and that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching again. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.